Hello everybody, how's everybody doing tonight? We've got a few folks in the house, I love it. I wanted to say that we have Kasem Ali here, and just so proud to have our 2023 judge for the Steve Cowett Poetry Prize in the house. Jeff Walt is here as well. Want to thank Amplified, Aleworks, Sunny Ray, and Anthony. Thank you so much for having us and giving us the space to do this. Everybody coming out, finding parking, the whole thing, oh man. I also wanted to say real quick that Olga Garcia, she's our bilingual editor. If you write in English and Spanish, or if you write in Spanish and you need a translator, we can translate your poems, get them in the anthology. This year is called Posol, and it's incredible. So if you're a writer in Spanish, get it into us. If you write in English and you want to translate it into Spanish, let us know and we'll do that too. Got to thank also, most definitely, all of the editors for the San Diego Poetry Annual. And Sunny Ray mentioned Bill Harding. Without Bill Harding, we would not be here. So we're kind of switching things up. We have a brand new website. If you're submitting poetry, do it through Jot Form on the website. It's SanDiegoPoetryAnnual.com. And we have sort of a social media guru, and her name is Alana. And Alana's amazing. She's been doing great things for us. We're trying to get into the modern age here and actually get a little bit of the San Diego Poetry Annual out there in different ways, on Instagram and Twitter and the whole thing, man. So, Alana, I'm gonna have Alana come up and you guys can meet Alana. Is this the first time you've read here? Ever. This is the first time Alana has read here and the first time ever, so give her some extraordinary love. Alana Rodriguez is a creative from Chula Vista, California, a first-gen graduate from San Diego State University. Any SDSU folks here? Yeah. Right now? Yeah. Oh, you got a crew here. All right. And she holds a BA in English. I have one of those. She currently handles social media for us, SDPA. Please become a friend, please follow. And you can find her works featured in, unfortunately, Lit Mag, the San Diego Poetry Annual, of course. And here we go, Alana, everybody, give her some love.
Hi, I'm Alana. I'm really nervous. This is my first time reading ever anywhere. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at SD Poetry Annual. From there you can submit your poems until October 15th. It's a very easy process. You get to choose the editor that you want to send your poems to. And on our social media pages, you can also find a little Meet the Editors section that introduces you to each of our regional editors and see which one fits your style. Today I'm going to be reading two pieces for you. The first one is a short one. It's called July is Approaching, I'm Still a Child. July is approaching, I'm still a child amongst the shadows of the valley. Where has the agency of body and bone gone? My limbs fade into the darkness as I'm ready to sweeten my life. Though, I'm not scared to ask for help. Maybe a change of scenery will remind me how much more there is to love, to life, and beyond. Nature, put your desires aside. Take a tender moment. Let's breathe for once. The air cannot stop me. I want to breathe. Nature, grant me some grace, for I no longer fit in. I need to spend more time fitting in. Spreading out, spilling over, there's so much left to retain. I'm losing control, I'm running out of time. Nature, where do I go from here? July is approaching, as are the pious doves, as am I. And the next one is more of a prose piece, sort of an essay that I wrote about a bad time when I was 17 and my mom was in the hospital, and I'm just so overdramatic. She was only in there for a week and I wrote an entire page about it. I've never taken a thing so personal as the confrontation with my own fear of being alone. It just so happened that my mother's hospital bed framed fear on a reflective surface. I became faced with a question I never dared to ask until then. What would I do without her? At 17, I was unscathed. The struggles of 18 and 19 were not yet ripened, and I lost grip of any control I may have had over my life. As I drove my mom to the emergency room, I tried to talk myself into delusion. This wasn't real. They'll laugh in our faces and send us home. But at 2 a.m., I drove home by myself as she lay alone in a sterile box with her heartbeat keeping time for us both. A lamplit parking lot kept me company while I asked myself what I did to deserve this, wholly forgetting that I walked out and she didn't. Of all the miscalculations I made that night, the gravest was how much I really needed her. I wasn't ready to take care of myself. Not for a week, not for a day, and even now, 4 years later, I still don't think I can. I can't remember if I held any strength to begin with, but I can still feel the hollowing in my stomach and the rotting in hers as I made my daily journey to the end of the corridor. By the time I reached her room, I wasn't sure what to do with my tears. Teenagehood has the luxury of living along a fault line, where you're both too old to cry for your mother and too young not to. I think back to how my mom often dreamt up her own funeral. She picked the music, the audience, and the epitaph on her faceless order of service. In her dreams, everyone is crying but me. Why me? During the days she was gone, I felt I had to prepare myself for her to never return, pretend she didn't exist, and honor her unmade bed as a memorial. If I could commune with the invisible, I could mingle with the dead, and then I could still love my mother. So I began to pray, and I made a new friend. He was created by me for me, tailored to my size, sweetened to my taste. Religion had never been this precious. God was my best-kept secret, and I protected his fragility from the unforgiving world. He was delicate and timid, quiet and hidden. I knew I could trust him with my mother's life. The idea of a God used to be laughable. It was for the weak and the naive. That was until he listened and my mom came home. When I relive these days with her, I fear I'm being overdramatic. I've never told her how scared I really was, how scared I was to be without her, how scared I am now that it may happen again. Every day she tells me she loves me when she doesn't have to. And every day that she tells me she loves me, I cannot muster the strength to say it back. I love you too is far too definitive, too absolute, and too much like a farewell. I fear if I say it back, she may never say it again, and then I will be alone.
I got some smashing. The ending was smashing. Everybody, one more time for Alana, our social media guru. What is that? SD Poetry Annual. Is it like at SD Poetry Annual? Yeah, I'm totally out of touch. Okay, so at SD Poetry Annual, check us out and follow us and connect and become friends with Alana and the Poetry Annual. It is my honor now to introduce the 2023, our upcoming judge for the Steve Cowett Poetry Prize. It's a $1,000 poetry prize that you could win submitting any style of poem. The content is wide open. Get your poems in for that. Submissions are open. This year it's going to be Kim Adonisio, an extraordinary poet in her own right, and she's our judge this year. Qasem is a poet, editor. He's a professor at UCSD. He teaches writing. And if you go to QasemAli.com, you will find all kinds of great information about our upcoming judge. And again, it is my honor. Qasem, come on up, please, to introduce Qasem Ali. He was taught all over the place. He's been all over the world. Come on up, Qasem.
Hi guys. I'm going to read you 4 poems. Hey, it's really good to be here in the basement.
Happy to have you.
With the plants. In San Diego. I grew up in Winnipeg, Manitoba, and the Golden Boy is this statue, very gay statue, on top of the Manitoba Parliament building. And when I was a little sprout, I loved the Golden Boy. So this poem is called Golden Boy. Almost afraid I am in the annals of history to speak, and by speaking be seen by man or God. Such then debt in light be paid. Atop the Manitoban Parliament building in Winnipeg, what a beacon to dollars, food, or God shines. I hallow starvation. this nation beneath the body, hollowing its stomach to emptiness, and in breath the river empties. Who so spoke the craft born along long echo and echelon, grains of light and space, we with one another wait, the soul, not the spirit, breathe through, spirited, went or went, why true, we've woven, a dozen attempts, these tents pitched on the depth, be made by pen, may perch atop the temple pool, proven the proven, these riches, wheat and cherries and prunes, what washes over woven ocean, frayed I am, most sir desired, sired in wind, seared and warned, once in wild Umiak sworn. We parley to mend, be conned, be bent, come now, called to document your meant intent, your indented mind, hollow star your weight in eons, there, in paper, money, morrow, more you owe, and over time God spends the spent river melt into summer, sound out the window, sound out the spender. Where does the river road end? And in what language can prayer or commerce be offered? Ender of senses, pensive atop the plural spire, be spoken or mended, broken and meant for splendor, my mentor. Thank you. June 2022. Gosh, what, 5-6 years. These days that pass. This poem is called Pulse. To the sharp report in the dark, the season comes home. Long tongue sound between hand and arm, between mouth and flesh. Hold this moment, river still. What if it was my life? To return after years to the same province of danger, an old town you know, like the handle, the bump stock, the trigger. I want to return to the boat that bore me from the far shore decades now ago. What I lived in those languages I forgot. The places I left, I want to return to. Were we seen? Were we spoken? Were all the wolves baying, met at the edge of the bright darkness of rain? Time cannot fulfill its promise to splinter, return, or slow. Vow, this wheel, this we, will this wheel we even wean, we in the world would wolve a low vow fold, worn low at the hip, to be a solid soldier who soiled his soul for the chance to be the first to aim, first to fire, first to fly. In the crosshairs I am heir to, no oar to hold, I am on both sides of this gun. Toll as sound or cost, one that never ends, and the other never returns. Any embrace is the first error in meaning's slope, wrought by thought that one could reach another, touch his shape, known in two genders, like Orlando, whose tongue newly woke. To pronounce any word for God or man means to enter violence's fold. No oath sworn to save, no salvation, no salve, no valor, no ovation, no nation. So I moved to San Diego in the spring of 2019. So I'm a newcomer, and I moved here from Ohio, and I was kind of cool to cross the mountains and come to this little town next to the ocean. on the border, which is not the border, of course, because for many more thousands of years than there has been the United States of America, there was a Kumeyaay nation here that the border cuts across. So I learned three things when I moved to California. I learned that Junipero Serra, who was the Spanish inquisitor who came here to Christianize the indigenous people, was from the Serras of Mallorca, who were crypto-Muslims. What better place to hide than the priesthood, you might think. I also learned that the name California comes indirectly from the Arabic word Khalifa. There is a Spanish novelist who, I guess like a science fiction novelist, who wrote a book about an island of warrior women, and he called the queen of the island of warrior women Khalifa. And so when the explorers, conquistadors, were coming up the coast and they saw Baja, they thought it was an island based on what they saw, and they called it California. So it's an Arabic name. California is an Arabic name. And I also learned that most of, not all of, the botany of California is invasive from southern Spain. It's where the seeds were brought, and they remade the landscape. That's where this poem came from. And I think I'll actually close with it. But this was me moving to California as a settler, trying to engage in what that meant. So the poem is called Junipero Serra Arrives. Now a year like bone, on the coast named for the Khalifas. We bring date seeds as tribute to Muslim ghosts, not the ones we harvested, but the ones that haunt our own breath. We bring grass that will spread like Christ. If the spirit will not bend, the body can be made to break. We stitch new texts into the air and ground. What a chance to sky, what garden left your tongue shall tie. Don't say mountain, haunted by bone. Don't say body, don't say home. I too chose to live past the arrival of blades into the bodies of my forebears, directing them like rivers or stone, given such vague directions by God or man. Dear memory of myself, wanting to climb, wanting to know, to be taught what is there, and each time I am reinvented as another human, too many times to see the way. Gold and green are not the lights meant to grow here in an Arabia far from home, in that Spain lost to Inquisition, swept away that golden Jewish and Muslim age and wind and sun, and all its C words blue and mispronounced from books that did not belong, were mistranslated, miswritten. The mosque roofs grow mosque. Rain shines down through the late May storm clouds. What a lonely span of ocean I crossed, having renounced my family of questionable faith on that middle island to come to the valley of the Kumeyaay, on a shore that we will oddly call Khalifa, to obey the dismembered God who in pastures of invasive plants summons me once more to storm heaven.
Damn.
Thank you guys.
So Sunny Ray said, let's have a couple of features. Let's start out with features before we open it up to the open mic. What did you guys think of Qasim? Come on. And Alana, thank you so much. Everybody go with Alana and find Qasim at qasimali.com. We're going to start up the open mic part of the show. We're going to bring up some of our readers from the anthology. Anthology readers, read what you want. You can do the poem from the anthology, or you can do whatever you want to jump into. We have a lot of folks who want to read, so if you would, keep it to one. If you've got some short poems, that's fine, a couple poems. But remember, a lot of folks want to get up here. So to start it out, let's call up William Scott Galasso, who came all the way down from Laguna. He's got a long trip going back. Give him some love. That's a lot of gas money right there. And then after William, we'll have Emma Gray Rose and Billy K. Bowden. Are you ready, William?
Yeah.
All right, here we go, Scott.
I'm thrilled to be here with a community of poets. Now that's creativity and that's power, used honorably. This is called America, and it has an epigram. Violence, as American as apple pie. No flintlocks or muskets, but AR-15s. No hunting rifles, but high-capacity magazines. The British aren't coming, and frontier raids are done. Sandy Hook Elementary in Newtown, 27 children killed. And 47 senators in NRA pockets said pray, but did nothing. America, our pandemic is violence, killing neighbors in supermarkets, movie theaters, concert halls, synagogues, and churches. Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, Parkland, 17 children dead, 17 wounded. And 47 senators in NRA pockets counted their blood money, feigned regret, and did nothing. America, 400 million guns, 330 million people. Robb Elementary School, Uvalde, 19 children and 2 teachers dead. 47 senators. Can you love our children more than you love your guns?
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't want to leave on that sober note, so I'm going to do a few jazz riffs here. Round midnight, jazz, a flatulent sax, melody crunching notes, catching a blue mood, smoke. Soul-shaken diva, woman, Rubenesque, lively, dancing barefoot, her shoes tossed with a line, a Coltrane Drammen, bird gone woman. Man alive, still trilling that Philly dog flute, from Baghdad to Bahia, a silver-lipped samba, pushing notes in moonlight, under coming home stars. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Scott, and thanks for coming all the way down. Emma Gray Rose, Billy Kay, and Adam Greenfield is coming up too. So is Emma here? Come on up, Emma. Oh, by the way, Emma, I saw your name on the list for pushcart nominations. Just so you know, this is Jim finding out right now.
Oh, that's great.
All right.
Yeah. Hi. A little bit nervous. I have a short poem. It's called The Smoke Between Us. And the summer calls webs into spiders that lie with us on a moonlit bank.
Brevity is the spice of every poetry reading. I love it. Right on, Emma. Okay, and Billy Kay. Hey, everybody, this is Billy Kay. Billy Kay is one of our editors, too, by the way. If you are a veteran...
Where are the veterans in the house? Where's our veterans at? I know Tony, where are you at? All right, submit to me, bro.
Yeah.
My own land. In these rows and rows of white pots arranged by size and shape, I am out of order. By me, anyway. Aquamarine and violent and rounder than you thought you'd want. There's room for your dreams and your hopes and your desires to be potted and take root. In these days of summer heat, lined up by old, meaningless gods. I am out of order. Buy me anyway. I create time for your speeding weekdays to slow and linger in my spaciousness, to relish in the expanse of an open door, and entertain thoughts that don't belong to you. In these hours of judgment and complaint, lined up by old white men, I am out of order. Buy me anyway. In these piled high shelves of matched set blankets and sheets, my sovereignty is a handmade blanket, stitched together with fight and memory and room for you. A shield of acceptance against the crooked mouth of fear, and two, a flag to be planted, a pole to be wielded, to remind you I am my own land.
All right, so Billy Kay, get your poems into Billy Kay, especially if you're a veteran. Adam Greenfield, come on up, Adam. Adam is not new to the poetry scene. Most of you know Adam, but he is new to the poetry, and Adam's going to be helping us out.
Thank you. I've never done this before. It's an absolute lie. I'm Adam Greenfield. By the way, if you like podcasts, listen to The Written Scene. It's a really good podcast. Sonny's going to be my co-host in a few of these. So, all right, I'm going to do two for you, and then I'll hop out because the list is ridiculous. All right, this one's called "I Wish I Could Connect." Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, or so I've heard. These words I grew up reciting, but never knew why. I tried too. While in Hebrew school on Sundays, I played the role, sang the songs, heard the stories of the old days, like of Hanukkah and the Holocaust, we'd never forget. And they hid the afikomen from the kids, but we'd eventually find the truth. A pasty taste of nothingness in our mouths as our reward. I grew bored before my bar mitzvah, left that shit up to my brother. He had two, while my parents bickered over who was a better Jew. I knew then the talit and tefillin were rituals too foreign and habitual for me. I couldn't breathe. The yarmulke, the hammerhead driving the point home. And I know, 100 years ago, I would have been driven out and forsaken for these words. My own grandmother was excommunicated from her own because of what and all for love? God? That heavenly Father? Shallow be thy game. As a toddler, I emptied up all my guilt and felt good about it. But I was too young to read. The letters spun too quickly on the dreidel for my tiny eyes to see. But when they finally did stop spinning, I could read. This life was all shin and no gimel, so none became the way for me. Look, I respect the cultural tree, the people, the history. But I can see the cracks in the scrolls where the walk goes sideways and all the talk follows. Faith is too hollow for me, too easy a thing to appease fear instead of saying, I don't know. Start there, and then we'll have something in common.
Yeah!
I just finished that one and just memorized it, so I fucked it up a few times, but that's all right. I'll get it eventually.
You got this, boy.
That's right. Thank you, Bear. Thank you. This one's called A Lover and His Liar. Don't get in an affair with a married woman whenever you do. I know it's common sense, but you know. All right. She came to me, not the other way around, then found my soft underbelly, love, and rubbed it raw until my feelings came. And I finally saw who I'd been seeking through my leaky-eyed lenses. Now, at the expense of my own heart, I ignored the part about being an outsider peeking in. For 3 times she assured me that her life, now surrounded by a half-empty ring, she didn't think would change, and there was no sign it could. No one has ever looked at or touched me like you do, her pen stroke spoke. Words in a Valentine's card, surrounded by paper hearts equally as rippable as my own. A heart I'd sewn back together with her hair left on the pillow next to mine each night. And we were so right for each other. No other love in either of our lives had even come close, one of those once-in-a-lifetimes, you know? But then the world broke, and we choked on our indecision between a love that everyone dreams of and one of one-armed hugs. Nights crying in the shower so he doesn't hear her, not even a tingle from a simple touch. She chose the crutch. But this much I know, that's not love. That's a lie shoved into a heart-shaped hole, and now she has a how-to-be-loved blueprint she stole from my desire and design. Except it seems I fell in love with a liar. So how much of that blueprint can really be true?
I love how the greatest lie was that Adam had just written this and he wasn't going to be ready, he wasn't sure if it was going to go, and then he nails it perfectly. You know what I mean? Nicely done, Adam. And welcome aboard. So Susan Taylor, are you here, Susan? I want to make sure. Susan Taylor, are you here, Susan? All right, come on up, Susan. And then Emily Anderson and James D. from La Mesa, right? Come on up, Susan, everybody. This is Susan, I think. It's dark back there. Susan, where are you? She was here earlier. We'll need you, Susan. All right, let's do this then. How about, oh, you are. Oh, sorry. Sorry, making your way. I guess, so this is the time when I say that Adam Greenfield has written a book called The One Regarding the Monkey, and it's on PinaPress.com. Check it out.
I'm old. I walk slow. Hi, I'm Susan. I'm Norwegian, born in Chicago. Ufta. You betcha. So, my first adventure into poetry land was teaching it as an English teacher and ESL teacher for many years, middle schoolers. Walt Whitman was about the only poet who engaged high schoolers and middle schoolers. And then I found out from Christopher Rose at a writing group we went to about the poetry anthology. So I submitted a poem called A Church in Tijuana. And I wrote this poem after going with the League of Women Voters down to a church, really pretty far into the rutted roads past Tijuana, and we put on a festival for kids with piñatas and that kind of thing. So pardon my Spanish, there's a little bit of Spanish there. I was a French major, so. Anyway, let me sit this down here. And remind me to tell you about my poetry show and invite you to come on. Don't forget.
Invite me to come on your poetry show.
Okay, thank you. It's called The Electric Picnic. Okay, the poem is A Church in Tijuana. This shows up on, I think, page 452 in the 2018-19 Poetry Anthology of San Diego. A Church in Tijuana. The day was gray and hopeless. In time, the bus conquered the rutted road and finally stopped at the paint chipped steps of the imposing church. We disembarked and looked around. Like Mexican-colored paper cuttings, the clean spangled clothes, orange, red, blue, swung on the perimeter laundry line. Some pigs scuffled in the dirt by the chain-link fence, taking no interest in us. A few kids met our eyes. They seemed bored, really bored. Inside the church, our eyes strained in the dim light to see the tables, supplies, tents, provisions, to see the families, babies, regular playing children. We face painted and photographed. They smiled and laughed and twinned with their friends who crafted, snacked again, and swung their hearts out at a bloated piñata. Alegria. A father came to mix the pretzels, popcorn, and cereal. He was from Honduras, waiting out his allotted time to remain at El Templo until God sent him somewhere. The man's wife was back in Honduras with their 4 children, hoping for Papa a regresar, and for money sent from Mexico. Señor, ¿qué es tu meta? I want to go to Los Angeles. Yo tengo un primo, mi familia todo, because I left my country. The man had some pictures. These are my children, wet, Aztec brown eyes that met mine. It was time to leave. Aboard the bus, we were different now. We rambled back to La Frontera. Later, we got into our cars and turned our back on it all. When I went to bed, I felt as though I had already whispered the Lord's Prayer many times that day. Find it, but I will. But anyway, the poem was called The Beat Poet Man. And I was inspired by our own Chris Van Noy, the official Beat Poet Laureate of San Diego. And he was on the show recently. In fact, it's going to broadcast tomorrow at 3 p.m. on KNSJ 89.1 FM. What do you think the SJ stands for? Right on. Okay, yeah, it does. And so, yeah, so I'm the host. I'm just an English teacher, but I'm really having fun with this. And Chris Ernest Nelson has been interviewed on our show. We're waiting for Christopher Rose, Chris Van Noy, Ted Washington, Jack Smith, Deborah Ramos, Igor Goldkind. Probably a few more, but I'm looking for people to interview. It's super simple, 30 minutes only. You're really just talking for about 26 minutes. And I interview with typical questions like what inspires you to write poetry, how long you've been writing poetry. You read some poems and I read some poems, and then we brush the crumbs off the picnic blanket and we go home. So it's called the Electric Picnic. And see me, or you can find me at knsj.org. And again, that's KNSJ 89.1 FM. And tune in, everybody, please. Okay.
All right, James, come on up, James. We have James D coming up, and then Laura Rubitsky. And
welcome, James.
James, hi James. And then JC Starlet Writer and Tomas. Ready, James?
Yeah.
All right, let's do this.
I've been hiding out for a while and decided to come out and expose myself in this poetry. I wrote this poem probably 30 years ago, and I've been writing ever since. I was in prison when I wrote this poem. I was on a high level in prison, and I was in a poetry class by Leroy Brady, and he knew Quincy Troop, who had authored probably Miles Davis's best biography that there was. And so I liked Miles just because in 1958 I ran away from home, and it was largely because of Kind of Blue, which in '58 came out and was probably the best-selling jazz there. Who?
Miles Davis.
Miles Davis.
So what?
So he's the, everybody knows him, right? So anyway, I ran away from home because I couldn't understand what they were saying in school. So I left school in 1958 and went up to San Francisco.
Yes.
Anyway, I can hardly read some of this writing, but here goes. And everything in these stanzas has to do with Miles and what he said in his life and what he took and stood for. Miles, is that you? Back to the world, edging out of time, 6 dimensions standing, 8 octaves high, your silhouette etching backwards in a raging goodbye. Is that you, Miles? A black Prometheus, studying riffs from the gods, playing white man, why bother, why bother, why? Strange fruit hanging on the other side, karmic payback from your stretched, marked eyes. Black train coming through a driven snow, dry ice smoking in a black quantum flow. Miles, is that you I'm looking for? An evening punked in a bitch's brew.
Hell yeah.
Bitch's brew, bitch's that. Blowing Planck energy up her galactic ass. Bending light around the salt lick thigh. Miles, is that you? Losing time in Coltrane's mind, cornering the southwest corner of Monk's G minor glide. Your black and white, can't read it. Oh, your black and white Scotch, here we go. A cosmic double or nothing, because those bitches are all mine. Miles, is that you between the black and ivories in the treble clef of G, where the filigrees of fractals created you and me, and in the second line of staff above the middle C of G sights your blue and red falcon scrying you to me. Is that you, Miles? Circumcising Marcellus Winston's ears as you look the other way, cutting chops on the kind of blue, and from under your bitch's brew. Is that you, Miles? And this was always his answer. Fuck you. You jive fucking motherfucker. Get out of my face and take your bitch with you. When I was, my mother remarried when I was 8, and I remember being in school during the autumn in Minnesota, and there were leaves everywhere, and it reminded me of other times in my life when I didn't know what I was facing. This is real short. The earth never complained about the procession of leaves, never mentioned that they were out of line or fell in the wrong direction, nor did the young boy complain as he ran through the leaves, as the leaves crackled beneath his feet. Only the tree knew when to let go and when not to. The wind blew, preparing for winter. That great hibernation in the death vow of the earth called resurrection. Anyway, one quick one here. This is a lady that I broke into prison, okay, on my birthday. She plays the Japanese shakuhachi, which I toured Japan in the 70s playing and still play. And so I broke her into a 4th level prison and got her to play on my birthday, and she played barefoot on my birthday in the prison.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's real simple. It's called the Barefoot Sonata. Your sound erased the blackboard scribbles I was working on, then seduced the breath I was following, whose naked truth now echoes in the chalk dust of your footprints, unswept and left behind, as the crushed boutonniere faces the blackboard of night and scribbles dreams to be erased in another life.
Damn, James. James called today, he's like, I've been writing poetry for 30 years, but I never get out of the house. You're so comfortable up here. Your writing's extraordinary, man. I'm glad you came out. Emily, come on up, Emily. We got Emily. Anderson, and then after Emily, Laura Rabitsky, and JC Starlit Writer. What's up? Hi, Emily. How are you?
I'm good. All right, hi. Hard to follow, that was beautiful. Okay, so I have two short poems for you guys. The first one is called A Sunday Morning in Hofstetten, and it's about a little town in Germany that I visited because we have family there, and it's just gorgeous, but it's very interesting to walk through the town because you can see where bombs hit during World War II and there are divots in the street, and I just remember looking at it and it's almost like you disassociate from the history there, and it's just a shocking reminder, so I wrote this poem about that. Okay. Church bells toll over a still graveyard, summoning swirling spirits to gather and join us for breakfast. Enterprising bees flit in and out of the red, rose-wreathed window to sip nectar from sticky fingers. A forest stretches green to the sun, castle ruins forgotten, crumbling beneath drunk, dancing branches. Homemade shoes on a cobblestone path, skipping with laces undone, stopping sudden upon the strange sight. A scar in the street, pitted pavement. Is it here that it happened? In this sleepy town, a place called home. Here, the farmhouse where mothers screamed to hide. Here, the sweet shop where children ducked and cried. There, the war front where father fell and died. Us against them and them against us. Foes opposed, each toes the line. But no one wins, the beast devours all. Some days I can taste ash in the air, smell cinders of stories burnt before they could be written or shared. Wails of widows past whistle on winds. I hear their desperate pleas, memories surface in silver streams. Yet on this morning, the sun shines through. A child laughs and ties their shoe. The world spins on, and so must we too. Okay, so my next poem, it's called Lucy, and it's actually inspired, it's an Ekphrasis poem. It's inspired by The Weeping Woman by Pablo Picasso. So if anyone knows that or wants to look it up later, that's what this is about. Okay. She has salamanders sleeping in each of her eyes. Sewn of twigs and tortillas and torture, she's dressed in a bulletproof vest and strips of cellophane. She cries tears of petrified teak, treats for the buzzing fruit flies that kiss the swath of scars on her troubled cheeks, smearing rouge like blood with a single stroke of gossamer wings. She chews her fingernails down to the stem, green with envy, a chili pepper hothead brawling with bullfighters. Feed her ambrosia till she's burning, an ill, glassy-eyed child. Her soul stomps, a trumpeting elephant stampeding a poaching party. Cosmic cavemen murmur her name and stitch it into the stars. Thank you.
All right, Emily, thank you. San Diego Poetry Annual.com, publishing poems with us. Laura, are you here? Laura Rabitsky? Come on up, Laura. All right, hi, Laura. And then JC Starlit Writer and Tomas. Hey, Laura.
Hi, everyone. It's been such a great evening so far. I feel really lucky to just be here, so it's really nice to see you all. I have two short ones today. I'm going to start with one. Well, the second one is in the San Diego Poetry Annual. It's called Words Between Floorboards, but I'm going to start with a different one. This one's called Far from the Crown of Our Pine. I still smell that old pine that we climbed together, clawing our way up into the thickest section. Our limbs lacerated, we drew open the clusters of needles, our proscenium arch. The branches held our words so delicately, like ornaments floating by the fire, with gifts and people in the other room. I cannot distinguish the sounds now, but I know you're there, a barely audible echo behind the high-pitched ringing that wrestles me awake at night, sucking in frigid air and grasping onto the edge of my mattress to catch my fall.
Nice.
And this is a shorter one. This is the one in the annual. And I keep tinkering with my poems, so I cut stuff out. So there's a slightly different version. I do that thing where I cut things, I put them back, I take them out, try their things. So this is what it is now.
It's a remix.
It's a remix. Yeah. Words between floorboards. It's words I miss the most when I'm alone. The ones I've lost, the ones I couldn't mourn. When lovers leave, I stoop to find some conversations left behind in cracks between the floorboards, fading now. I plow my fingernails and scrape inside. I grasp at silences we shared that jut and peel and shred against my skin.
All right, thank you, Laura. And Tomas, come on up, man. Tomas, and then we'll have Trevor, Rob, and Karen. JC Starlight, right? Then we're gonna take a break. We'll take a quick break. Is Tomas here? Tomas, Gaitón, el mero mero. Tomas, que vengas. Vamos. Sí. Oh, perfect. El mero. Yeah. So Tomas, speaking of jazz, right?
Speaking of jazz, my latest book of poetry is Jazz Heaven, and it's inspired by jazz music, and there are a couple poems in here dedicated to Miles Davis, who I had the opportunity to hang out with back in the day. Why do Black Lives Matter when every day we see them lost by legal lynching? Easy targets for the police and press to stigmatize and demonize because of our color. Why, I wonder, must we relive America's bloody history of slavery, black codes, and Jim Crow with daily accounts of legal lynching? Why do black deaths matter? This is the time of the poet, the final prophetic sigh before men die, the silent voice from deep inside that reaches back past the primal, back to darkness black, before fire filled the air with crimson color, back to black. This is the time of the poet. Gone the strutting imbeciles, fool's gold, false gods and tingling brass. Gone too, logic, reason, order, stripped bare, left there to ponder gifts freely given. A cool breath of spring air, naked feet in desert sand. A time to feel, to love, a time to die that a tree might live. This is the time of the poet, to memorialize the final folly of fallen man, then be thrown pen in hand upon the flaming pyre, abject oblation of flesh to earth, wind, and fire. Thank you. And you can get my books at Verbatim Books in North Park or on the Amazon. All my books. I would read the Miles Davis poems, but the one would be too long. Miles. Thank you, man.
Okay, JC Starlit Writer. Everybody give JC Starlit Writer lots of love.
I brought traditional poetry, but instead I really want to practice the spoken word. I want to bring it to San Diego Poetry Slam.
You're in the right place.
Okay, thank you. Also a little bit of a trigger warning. He grips my feet and widens my thighs. As I cry and bite through my lip, he sighs. He violates me as he dilates me and says I have a sweet sense of humor while he biopsies my suspected tumor. Cancer. The word sounds absurdly elegant, like a dancer. Chances were I didn't have it, yet microscope blows up microcosms into murals that blossom. As intruder metastasizes, it devours me like candy store prizes. Squamous dysplasia is cannibalistic. Its urge to reproduce animalistic. It sounds a death knell for every cell. Multifaceted forces conspire to force my premature retire. It's anti-holistic, the choices I make, the poisons I take, toxic mindset, and the nights I'm awake. All the so whats I've proclaimed, the cuts and headaches left unexplained, anxiety and self-loathing unrestrained. As life-thirsty mutations continue their permeation right to my foundation, the thought that's so unnerving is that I am deserving. So here I am once again bearing all to him who's not a friend. His invasive tools make stomach churn. First it's the acetic acid's turn. Like alcohol on cuts, it burns. Now forceps are crammed and jammed into cavities that should never be rammed. Widened and awkwardly angled, stand by as womanhood's mangled. Rough pinching, then twist and pull. Oh God, it's the stab and scrape. Legs shake with each stab and scrape. This time's worse than the 8 times before. I'm unsure if I'm a martyr or a whore. Can the sickness really be as bad as the cure? Please stop the tests. I'll try nutrition, de-stress, and rest. I won't expect perfection. I suspect the way to achieve a reprieve is to believe I deserve to be. Just be me. The idea to which I must subscribe is humor and love make me alive. The guilt and anger I must resolve and let the self-hate fall. So I dream a new typical day. I learn yoga and meditate. I am so desperate, I pray. Uncomfortably still, day after day. But in 6 months, all cancer had gone away. Some people call me brave. No, it was the new roads paved and a new script played. All aspects of living autoclaved. My life has been saved. Thanks to cancer.
Wow.
Thank you.
Fuck yeah, that is what's fucking up. And I like that you started your whole set there with, I was going to do traditional poetry. We're going to get into a debate on what is traditional poetry. Before choosing actually what you wanted to say was to be vulnerable and say what was in your heart and bursting out of your cells. And thank you for sharing that. It is so good to be in community again. It was something that was rare in the Upside Down. Why is there a child so high? Oh, he's on Anthony. Got you. Okay. I was really worried right now without my glasses that he was hanging from something. Babe, I'm glad you got him. High fives for Abel and Anthony in the back. Really, you guys, it is amazing to be in community again. It's a gift, and I think we, as artists, never really took it for granted, but maybe even more appreciate being side by side to different voices and just to hear what the fuck was everybody going through, right? When we were in our own isolation, and probably isolation that existed before isolation was a mandated thing. And it feels really good to hear what's been going on the inside and share it up on the stage and have such a great reception, regardless of how you agree or disagree. It's a reception of the individual, and it's a support as such. And that's what we really want to be here in the Acid Vault, and really in life in general, right? Is to be inclusive and inviting. So I thank you all for keeping that spirit so alive tonight. In the middle of such a great set that you got, I want to be a little competitive with you, Michael. I want to bring up a couple Poet Underground MVP motherfuckers to the stage. We're going to start with Trevor, then we got Robbie and Karen. And maybe we'll even set it off with Anthony after that, take a 5-minute drink break, because our bartender, she worked hard, man. She wanted to buy drinks, she wanted to fuck you up and have you say cheers with her. So we'll take a 5-minute after that. Trevor, to the stage. Our poet on the ground, poet of the evening, Trevor Wayne.
Hey guys, San Diego Poetry Annual people, nice to meet you. My name's Trevor. Seems like there's a lot of college students in here. Anybody here in college? There was a lot of Birkenstocks in here. There's definitely some college students in here. Well, I just finished grad school. Isn't it pretty expensive to live here? I wrote a poem about how expensive it is to live here. It's called Studio. I hope you can all relate. I have two. The second one's short. This one's a little bit longer. The Public Enemy record is the only thing audible in the kitchen / living room / bedroom / bathroom area of the house. Everything's in the same room. This is a fucking studio apartment. This is San Diego, and all anyone can afford is a studio. The whole city is studio apartments. 3 people per studio, $2,500 for a studio. Everyone who lives in the studio works at a restaurant or bar and takes 2 community college courses a semester, 6 units. Yeah, I worked a double last night is the most commonly used phrase in the city. It echoes through the alleyways, and every time it's said, another cigarette is smoked. All servers. All servers smoke cigarettes on their 10s and their lunches. The cute type of smoking, though, La Jolla smoking. Not the COPD, lung cancer, ruin your life type of smoking. We're talking like the 127 likes on Instagram type of smoking. The I went away to San Francisco State and came back after 3 semesters type of smoking. Everyone drinks in their studios, only craft beer, only microbrew. San Diego has the best beer in the world. It's all small batch, everything's an IPA or a stout, and if you're drinking a lager, you obviously haven't been working enough doubles and money is tight. Don't forget to use the coasters in the studio. We want our security deposit back, and this is not our furniture. We signed a 72 3/4 month lease for our studio. The market is tough in San Diego. Need to sign longer leases to get a better deal. There's no rent control for our studio, so there's lots of homeless people in San Diego. There's a homeless dude outside of my studio right now. Must have not worked enough doubles. He is drinking a craft beer though, small batch, microbrew. Everyone has a dog in their studio. It's either a fucking French bulldog or pit bull, 400 square feet, 3 people, 2 dogs, $100 deposit, and $50 monthly fee for each dog in our studio. Our studio is on the 3rd floor, so the balcony's covered in dog shit. It starts to pile up outside our studio. During winter, it's fine, but the hot sun of summer increases the horrible smell outside our studio. Why do we get so many fucking dogs when we work so many doubles? We're too busy to even be at our studio. We'd move out of our studio if we could. There's no 1-bedrooms in San Diego, though. It's either studios or $500 million beach houses. I'm texting our studio group chat. We need more roommates if we're gonna get a house. 15 roommates all together to be able to move out of our studio. I've always wanted to raise a family. Definitely not in our studio though. There's leftovers everywhere and dirty laundry is piled to the ceiling. It smells like cigarettes in our studio. Cigarettes inside, dog shit outside. America's finest city. I walk downstairs to get some fresh air and the 5 freeway runs right over our studio. The cars scream at me every time I leave our studio. I found a girlfriend and she now lives in our studio. We got engaged in our studio. We got married in our studio. We had kids in our studio. I didn't die in the studio though. I died in the restaurant. I was working a double. Thank you. This is a conscious decision I'm making. The vibe that I just created, I'm gonna shit on it. All right. So this is, you guys knew coming here tonight there was gonna be a Roe v. Wade poem, and I figured who better to give you a Roe v. Wade poem than a straight white man. I'm an ally, don't worry. I hope you guys can see that in the poem. All right, this is called Men Like Me. Men that look like me only care about men that look like me. Is the game still on TV? Full court shot, final score 6-3. My hands are inside of your body, I feel your organs just because I can. Why are you so mad? You're hysterical. You say you're committed, I'll have you committed. Someone entered your home without your permission and now something is growing inside the master bedroom. You don't know what it is, you don't want it. We want you to want it. We will make you want it. It will be yours and you will care for it. We don't care if you don't want a family, we want to re-strengthen the American family. Family values are universal and they give us power over anything cervical. Fetus with organs growing on the outside of their body. No chance of survival, but you must keep it for the full term because we want to win the fucking midterms. We put our hands on their organs too just because we can. We appointed 9 of them so they could govern your 9 months. Are you crying? Did you get hurt? Do you need a Band-Aid? You're just a fucking handmaid. They're called justices, so obviously they know what justice is, we say. Now as men, we will never be surpassed. More women will die during childbirth now. Just keep the flag at half-mast. We don't care if their babies' funerals were on the same day they were born. We're so pro-life that we want the sick and suffering to experience, even if it's for a matter of minutes. The 2020s are the new 1950s. Funeral home directors are calling it the new baby boom. So many tiny coffins to be made. Wow. God is watching us. America is the city upon the hill. We got to the top because on our way up, all we did was kill. All we did was kill. All we did was kill. Tiny graves, women as slaves, re-election moving in a fucked up direction. Wolves no longer need to be disguised as sheep. We will tell you what to keep, and if you choose to fight, we'll just take away another right. Because men who look like me only care about men who look like me. Thank you.
Thank you for doing that poem. Also, that's true to your fucking apartment, right? Trevor, thank you. And now we have Robbie to the stage, also a previous headliner. Welcome, Robbie Hamill, to the motherfucking stage. Right. You're taller than me.
Hello, everybody. I'm gonna give you that one-hitter, one poem. It is entirely representational of my work. Just keep that in mind. It's called Confessional Poem. I'm suspicious of young love poets the same way I can't trust the judgment of a benign pothead. Because I used to write love poems myself. Here, this is a line I wrote in my mid-20s. One spank of your ass is enough to humble me for a lifetime. Ridiculous. What a lie. I've spanked that ass and cursed God in the next breath. Or take this one from even younger. I said, love is a long-suffering process like chemotherapy. I know nothing about chemotherapy. And why am I comparing love to battling cancer? What kind of man views women as a death-defying struggle? Last November, I bought 2 grams of cocaine. I laid it out on my desk, placed several $100 bills next to it, and removed my pants. With my underwear still on, because I'm classy, I got myself half hard and stuck my bulge in the frame of a cell phone photo picturing the cocaine, the money, and my nervous penis. I sent this photo to a woman I hardly knew with the caption, "Want a party?" Does this sound like a man who understands love to you? Does this sound like a poet? Can I even utter the words, "I love you" anymore? Or do you think it's possible that people sometimes contradict themselves? Of course, right? At what point is the contradiction a lost soul? At what point does the sin bury the good words? At what point does life make meaningless any quality of art? I don't know, but it's probably somewhere between a dick pic and a drawer full of poems.
A dick pic and a poem. A dick pic and a poem, the same thing. Thank you, Robbie. All right, Karen, we welcome you to the stage, another Poets Underground rep, and then we have Anthony, and then we're gonna do no, we're not gonna do a duel, but we'll pretend we are.
Yeah, Karen.
To Karen. Bring her. Welcome Karen to the stage, please.
Thank you, Robbie. I'm so glad you did that poem because I'm in my mid-20s and this is a poem about love.
Yeah.
And dick pics.
We love
love. No, it's called I Could. Our last plant together died, and I could say it's a metaphor. Could say that I tried to keep it alive like I did our relationship. That I was always the one to remember to water it, like I was always the one to hold us together. Could say that you would have forgotten plants need sustenance to stay alive if it wasn't for me, if it wasn't for my attention to those damn leaves. Could say I took pride in their sprouting and that maybe I held on to them when I moved out because they felt like my children. And maybe they felt like my children the way our relationship did, the way I could comfort the tantrum right out of our bond. The way it exhausted me, kept me from sleep, made me panic in the bathtub and think about jumping out the car. The way I never did. The way I always came back to us. Of course, we named the plant Journey, and of course it was the last one to die. I could say that its slow decline was like my gradual moving on, that it died to the steady rhythm of my healing. I could say that it was thriving through the months I ached for you, that it only accepted the sunlight when I hid from it, only photosynthesized when I could not eat, that the more I emerged, the more the plant shriveled, that the more cleansed I became, the more the plant refused water. I could say that journey was a metaphor for our journey. Could note the fact that we got all 3 plants when our roommate moved out, when the apartment became ours, when our life started together, really. I could point out that the apartment we later moved to felt destined because the photos showed the same exact pots in the living room that our plants lived in, the same exact pots that I now find empty. I could say that I cried when I put the dying plant out in the backyard. Could say that I said goodbye to it, stroked its leaves like they were your bearded chin. I could say I told Journey I love him and goodbye. I could say I talked to plants because I couldn't talk to you. I could say I held on to them because I couldn't hold on to you. I could say I let them go because I had to let you go. I could say I could let go. I could say I could. I could.
Thank you so much, Karen. Broken Heart is the best muse around town. I'll tell you, it's a cheap thrill, that one. Eli to the stage. We have my soon-to-be stepson and Anthony's son, Eli Azarito. Introducing.
Anthony Azarito.
Welcome Anthony to the stage. Is that your height?
I don't know if this will do, but Trevor, thanks for putting the mic by. Wow, what the fuck? What is up, Poets Underground SD Poetry Annual? What is up? How's it going, everybody? I need some freaking feelings up here. Let's get this page popping. Let's go. Woo! I'm freaking pumped up for poetry. Gets me excited. Yeah. Ah. All right. This one's called The Cell. We are nothing more than the outpour of energy harnessed within a cell, condensed in chaos and carefully chained to keep the demons at bay. This body is a cell. Some say it's a temple. Unlike most, I built mine with trapdoors, exit holes for the light to seep through. In order to level the playing field in this harsh world, we have to walk through the darkness with a signal flare in hand, grand flashes of lights marking our territory and making our presence and position known to the enemy. Where we stand, where we won't fall. Because if we hide in the shadows where the gloom was birthed, then we are no different than said evil. Fear will not be victorious. These eyes, they grow weary of witnessing true insanity day after day. All that energy, all that pent-up rage, buried below the surface, centuries upon centuries. That is what will set us free. Where the cell can be transformed into a gateway, a portal. For every ounce of bloodshed, for every word spoken in defiance, for every idea shattered to not left for the dead. It's time for a revolution. I said it's time for a revolution. And tonight, darkness falls. No, it fails. And we rise for good.
For good.
Sorry, I'd like to stay up here all night and get this party, keep it going, but I have somebody else that can, and that's his name is Michael Clam. So come on up and get the party, keep it rolling. We got SD Poetry Annual coming up, more and more. Let's keep it going, y'all. I love y'all. See you.
Thank you, Anthony.
So in lieu of a break, we're encouraging drinking. Go visit the bartender. She's ready for you. Let's see. Amaya, come on up, Amaya. And then we have K.R. Morrison and propaganda poet down from San Francisco, if I'm not wrong about that. So everybody, please submit your poems to the San Diego Poetry Annual at sandiegopoetryannual.com and buy drinks. Everybody, this is Amaya.
Good evening, everyone. Am I audible clearly? Yes. My name is Amaya Pandit. I have released my first collection, Impressions, last year, and I have published a poem at San Diego Poetry Annual. So I'll read a few passages from this collection, and they are really observations. You can call it short letters or reflections, if I may. So they are grouped into three titles. One is on nature, on arts, and on childhood. So the first one is when I was simply taking a routine call while walking, and these thoughts came to my mind. So I'll begin with that.
Nice.
The scorching sun rests, the wind leaps and dries the sweat off my face. The clouds draw a curtain to put on a show. Suddenly, the day is less bright, less hot. Yet, there is light, a certain peace, a quiet, as I watch the gentleness of nature come into play. In the trees, the leaves, the branches, the twigs, or for that matter, the sordid log that has forever lain in my plain sight. Time and again, these events unfold in every season of the year, allowing me to conjure, to reflect on what is more, what is dear, on a light within, a light that lives in my heart, a light of nature, a light that glows as the light of the whole world dims, allowing me to see what I have always looked for, but simply failed to see.
Beautiful.
The second one is just sitting on the beach, but I hope you can resonate to it. So I drive to the shore. The day has been long, bright, the sky clear, as I await the beautiful view of the setting sun. To my surprise, my wish does not live up. The sun sets without a stir. It's as if I'm deprived of a hope. One I had cherished well before the crack of the dawn. What happened? Did someone play a mischief? Science tells me the cause. It is in the arrangement of the molecules. Their scatter was blown up by a benign cloud cover, as it says. But today, I'm not interested in the reason. I'm looking for a reason behind the reason. Was it my wish that ruined my show, or someone else's? If it would be raining, I can perfectly console myself from such a quandary. But it's not. It's bright as summer, golden as it can be, the perfect conditions for a grand exit. Yet, the show does not live up. Thousands like me must have wished the same way I did. So even the few who stand next to me are feeling the same I feel, a little disappointed, a little robbed. Is this a game of fate, I ask? You wish something and you get the opposite, the curse of a wish. Alas, this reminds me of something, life. Life is a little of this. Every hope, every aspiration takes its time, runs its course. So even if the head frets every so often, the heart still beats. It beats to every jubilation, to every disappointment, to each day, to each night, until so. Like a star it lives, and hence so shall I. There is not much to worry, nor to deject. For even the most humble of asks take their own sweet time, let alone the grand sunset. Thank you.
Wow.
Cheers to be.
Okay, San Francisco, where are you? San Francisco, let's go, San Francisco. Are we still here? Are we gonna play? Yeah, all right. Are you guys touring right now? Are you on the, yeah? Come on.
Yeah, we're actually, yeah.
Come on.
Special shout out to our literal angels in the back. There are some very special people that do quiet wonders throughout the evening. They have been looking around at all times, seeing what needs to be done. If the water is empty, this man right here is picking it up and taking it to the bar and refilling it. If our children needed plates, this man is looking around and seeing, there's special people that are rare, and the two of you are that rarity. So I just want to say thank you for being the kind, gentle sweeties that you are, and we appreciate you.
Everybody give some love to Propaganda Poet.
Propaganda Poet!
Well, now I gotta go crush your image of me. Sorry. Okay. First, a micro poem. Capitalism. This OG pyramid scheme has got us all making memes instead of inciting revolution. Welcome to reverse evolution.
Evo!
Before I get started, I'm currently on the 30th year of my Open Mic World Tour. I have book CDs and gas to pay for. So, thank you all. Poets, listeners, editors, bartender, venue. There are many of us in this room today because spots like this existed yesterday. So thank you all for being who you are and doing what you do and making the world a better place, because Lord knows the world needs to be a better place right now.
That's right.
And I really wish I could tell y'all to step off, because I'm about to burn you with the friction in my diction, but recently they made the decision based solely on one religion, which is really just a cover for a patriarchal prison, and it's got my heart, mind, body, and soul reeling, and I've been wanting to write down what I'm feeling, but lately I've been hitting a wall, and this writer's block shit has got me feeling small, because I'm supposed to be able to smith my words and craft my style, because there for a while I thought that I needed to be heard, but maybe I just needed to hear myself think. So I could gather my thoughts like a gathering of nations without the hesitation of a society of convenience where everything is supposed to save our time, but nothing ever seems to get done. So run, rat, run, because that's how things are done these days. Push through the maze, push through the haze, when to breathe through the graves, when to see through the days with this 8-day-a-week overtime craze, or learn to become nothing but suicide slaves. In the land of the supersized and the home of the slum, you ain't even allowed to you ain't allowed to be old because you ain't even allowed to grow old because you ain't even allowed to be young. Well, I intend to fight fire with a sharply honed tongue, but poetry is more than poet me. It's poet you and poet true. Having the courage to turn this soapbox into a platform so that we can shine the light through the shitstorm of the norm, because enlightenment has found that this shit right here, this shit ain't normal. And our rights are being blocked like a decaying bridge, just waiting to collapse under our train of thought. So they're trying to train our thoughts by taking away from our schools music, theater, and art. But we sure can't fill in bubbles with number 2 pencils. Just marking the stencils for more marketing status quos, and I really don't know where any of this is going, because lately my flow has been hitting a wall, and this wall stands tall, like the one that leaves us all stranded in religion shopping malls, instead of kicking it in the halls of karma where good deeds actually still mean something.
Yeah, baby.
Instead of just being a list of things to do to get your soul through and hope that someday you might get to earn those wings, but there is still something that we can't quite grasp, and we are being trained to be afraid to ask because they don't want us to know that we were all born with these wings and the ability to sing. No, they'd rather have us kissing some asshole's ringleader of a kiddie porno ring, and they say that he's closest to God? What's it going to take for us all to recognize that all we got to do is just drop all this shopping and step out the door? Stop talking when we pray and learn to listen some more.
That's right.
But alas, this too shall pass, so tonight I'm just going to go back to my campground and smoke some more grass and try to pass through these bricks of ego and this mortar of fear, because you see, I didn't come here tonight just to spit. I came here to hear. So I'm going to go ahead and sit down and shut up, because I'm tired of banging my head on this wall and I'm sick of feeling small. You see, I came here tonight to unblock my rights by listening to you all. Thank you for encouraging me.
Wow. Propaganda Poet, aka Bear Wolf. Let's give another hand. I'm Kara Morrison. I'm the San Francisco person, 24 years, and now I'm half here in Southern California and half there. This has been amazing. I feel really good because of all of you. And if it's all right, I'm going to read a couple, one very short, from the perspective of a pissed off woman. Because we have a lot to be pissed off about.
There you go. Speak it!
A warning to the patriarchy. He's lucky we don't breed a new Amazon species. an army of freedom fighters liberated from gender, a weapon deep siege, a war against his bloody systems, swords on the throat of his blue and red political officials. He's lucky we don't light Bridget's match, burn down all his traditions, bit by flaming church, bit by demolated empire. He's lucky this is just a poem, one witch's prayer. May every word conjure our resistance, divine warriors on the edge of time. The last one's called, is this okay? Here? Squeaking. This is called War Woman. A king-size bed soaked in rape impales a daughter who is also a granddaughter, who's also a mother. Her long hair snarled into knots. She tosses, tangles in red sheets of unrest, lost in a maze of man laws that makes losing her moods, losing herself easy. She retreats to sleep, unpacks herself. Kerosene drips from her wrists and lips, two swollen rainstorms behind razor blade eyelids. Down them she goes, into generations of hurricanes, where grandmothers toss, turn, where first women bury grenades beneath oak trees. Maybe assaults can become something else. Down shadow portals, grandmother discovers her mother, same age, churning. Mother drinks away the stomach aches in a king-size bed, soaked in rape. When father-son interrupts, mother paints men away, carves wood into plaques for outlaw men who follow law by virtue of their wars, their beating, their raping. I know a mother poet. She says, out of all the mothers and granddaughters and grandmothers active in unrest, warriors born in December are the babies who burn themselves away in the protection fire she procreates. Death alive in the havoc of her fight back. In the southern elements, such war women resurrect. I am War Woman's daughter, granddaughter, born breech from soul mother, sirening the hymn collective away into death. In knots I find these women within me, daughters, mothers, granddaughters on fire, tied to his hawthorn crosses, tied to his king-size bed soaked